Hi, welcome back to the Little Blessed Homeschool YouTube channel. If you're just joining us, my name is Jenna. I am a stay-at-home mom of two girls, Lily, who is 9 and in the 3rd grade, and Lucy, who is 3. She'll be 4 in June, and she will be joining in our preschool curriculum upcoming in the fall. So I just wanted to take some time and explain to everybody why we decided to homeschool and why we made that decision. So, a little background on me. I was born and raised in Aurora, Colorado, and I went through public school, elementary school, middle school, high school. I had a really rough time at high school. And not to age me, but I graduated in 2001. And I wish that homeschooling was more of a thing when I was growing up because I think I would have benefited from it a great deal. So high school was really hard for me. I was the chubby girl with glasses and braces, and I wasn't popular, and I wasn't, I didn't have a lot of friends in high school, and I almost even didn't graduate because I quit going my senior year because I was just so sick of the bullying that was done by, the popular girls, and I just was over it. And I ended up graduating just fine. It took a little bit though. But homeschooling wasn't a thing in Colorado, at least growing up. And then I had my oldest, Lily, in 2012, and I was the typical mom, just so excited for my kid to start kindergarten, like, oh, we got to get school pictures done, like so excited, right? At the time, we were living in the mountains in Colorado. So we weren't living in Denver anymore. We were living up in the mountains. And it was this cute little mountain school. And I was so excited for Lily to start the school because that's what I did. I was in public school and, I went through the public school system and I was just like, I'm so excited. You're going to do school plays. You're going to do all this fun stuff in elementary school. And I don't know if it's just schools changed since I was growing up, but I was very disappointed in the beginning. Me and Lily's teacher did not get along. Lily, not to go into too many details, but she was born with some medical issues, and she was on medication when she was younger, and the teacher wasn't very sympathetic to it. And the medication that she was on caused her to get dehydrated very easily, so she needed to have water in a water bottle at her disposal. And the teacher just didn't agree with that, I guess, I don't know, and wouldn't let her. And then she, not to like embarrass her or anything, but she had a lot of medical issues and the teachers weren't very sympathetic to it, basically. And I just didn't feel like she was getting that great of an education. I mean, I know it was kindergarten, but I just felt like it was more like learn how to behave, but I don't know. It was just weird. So I just had some issues with the kindergarten to begin with. And right before Christmas, around Thanksgiving, Christmas, my husband got word that we were going to be moving to North Carolina. And at first, when I first got the news, I said, we are not going to move until the summer. I don't want to pull Lily out of one school. She just started a new school. This is new for her, and I don't want to put her in another new school. And so at first, we were all planning, like my husband was going to move first, and then we would move later. And then as the year progressed, and I was seeing more and more that I didn't agree with, I won't go into too many details because I know that some parents may not agree with me and my decisions, but I just didn't agree with what my child was learning, how she was learning it, and how she was treated. She also, in kindergarten, you guys, had a bully. So my daughter has red hair, and it is very red, and it looks orange, to be honest. And she had, she was made fun of, and it was really hard, and she was bullied because of it in kindergarten. Like, where does that even come from? In kindergarten. So I ultimately made the decision that we as a family in the middle of the school year, we're just going to all move to North Carolina, start her at a new school. Maybe the new school, maybe the change would get better. So we all moved to North Carolina, and I enrolled her in the public school that was in our neighborhood. And her kindergarten teacher at this school was amazing. She, the sweetest person you will ever meet, Southern accent to a T. I mean, so sweet. And I was like, okay, maybe it was just that school in Colorado. Maybe things will get better. Let's just continue kindergarten. So we went through kindergarten. Everything was great by the end. Then first grade came. And I did not get along with Lily's first grade teacher. She was different. She was interesting. Think Magic School Bus. She was very vibrant. Her hair was a different color every single week. She wore big brimmed glasses that were a different color, usually matched her hair or her dress. Sweet person. Honestly, she was the nicest person. However, we butt heads because I didn't agree with some of the teachings. I didn't agree with the curriculum. She sent home a book in the bag every single week. The kids had to read and then write in a journal about what they read. And she sent home some books that I just frankly didn't agree with, that a first grader should be reading. I didn't agree with the message of the books. And when I voiced my concerns to her, she basically blew me off and said, sorry, this is how I teach. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. So we just didn't get along. And I was starting to basically see, like, my decision to be in the public schools, I was starting to question it. Like, is this really what we should be doing? In the first 6 months that we were in North Carolina, there were a lot of moms that I had met outside of the school, all of them homeschooled. Every single one of the moms that I met outside of this public school circle all homeschooled their kids. Every single one of them. My next door neighbor, her kids are adults now, but she actually homeschooled all three of them. Homeschooling is huge in North Carolina, huge. And I didn't realize how big it was until we moved here. In Colorado, it's just not a thing. Like, I didn't know anyone who homeschooled, nobody. And so I was very intrigued by it. And I remember talking to my husband about it, and we both agreed that no, public school is where it's at. Like, you got to go to school. It's just part of what you have to do. And public school maybe is not the option. Maybe we should look at private. Well, we couldn't afford private. I'm going to be real with you. Those are expensive. So then we were thinking about charter school maybe, and getting in around here to a charter school is like slim to none. It's very difficult. And so, I just was like, well, let's just keep her in public school for a little bit. We'll just finish out first grade and then we'll decide. Well, then the infamous COVID hit and she was, pulled to virtual learning. So I sat with her at the computer while she was doing her schoolwork on the computer with her teacher. And I was like in shock at these videos that her first grade teacher was sending to her students. And I asked Lily, I'm like, is this how she teaches every day? And she's like, yeah. And I'm just like, I don't know. I just didn't agree with it. It was very much a way of teaching that is not for first grade and not for 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, actually, because she then turned 7. But I just didn't agree with it. I said, no. I said, this is just not what's going, like, no. I don't agree with this. So we ended up not even finishing. Technically, we didn't finish first grade because I pulled her. I pulled her from virtual learning and I said, we're not doing this. We're going to look at something else. And at the time, I still wasn't thinking homeschool. I was still thinking maybe private school or charter. Well, in the summer, I started talking to a lot more moms and that all homeschool. And I was just hearing their stories about how amazing it is, what they get to do every day. And I thought homeschool was you sit down with a book, you sit down with your kids, and you literally do homeschool all day long. And that's just homeschool. And it's not that. It's not that at all. And I think as the more and more I got to learn about it, the more and more I was like, maybe this is my calling. Maybe this is what we need to be doing. So I decided to pull the plug. And before the new school year started, I filed my intent to homeschool Lily with the state of North Carolina, and I sent it off to her current school, and I said, we're done. We're pulling her out. We're going to homeschool. The principal actually called me on the phone. He was not happy. He was not happy that I was quitting. And he said, I think that's a big mistake. I think you guys should stay. He's like, I'm really sorry that you had these issues. Maybe we can address them. And I said, listen, I said, we're going to just do homeschool for now. I said, if it doesn't work out, we'll probably be back. But my goal is that it works out and that we continue to homeschool. And a lot of people that hear that we homeschooled and we started right after COVID hit think that we homeschool because of COVID. That is not the number one decision making that we did. COVID and the virtual learning and the virtual school was basically the tip of the iceberg. The rest of it, I just wasn't happy with public schools for a while. And when COVID hit and the virtual learning was just not what I thought it was, I said, that's it, I'm done. Like, I'm not putting my child through this. I'm not putting my child through any more of this ridiculous learning. It was ridiculous. And so we technically started homeschooling because of the virtual learning with COVID, but I had been wanting to do it for a while. And I think that when the COVID thing hit, it was just, that was my last straw. I was done at that point. So we homeschool mainly because I didn't agree with public schooling. I didn't agree with a lot that happens in public schools. And, I got to thinking more and more about why we homeschool. And another one of the biggest reasons is because, you only get so many years with your kids. And I know that some families have to have two incomes and they have to work. And I get that. I really do. But you're only given so much time with your kids. Why would you want to send them off to somebody else to teach them? Wouldn't you want to be there to see them learn their new letter or see them finally get an A on their test or their quiz or learn a new subject? And, that was always hardest with me when I started to think about it when she was going to kindergarten. I'm like, but you learned the ABCs today? Well, I wanted to be the one that taught you. I want to be there when you learn this stuff. I want to be there to see the look on your face when you get a math problem right. And once I started thinking more along those lines, it was like homeschooling is just where we need to be. Homeschooling is what we need to do. And that's when I decided that was it. We're going to homeschool. And it was a rocky start, which I will go into more detail in the next video. I'm going to talk about what curriculum we use. And in that video, I'll go into some curriculums that we tried in the beginning. Our first year was a hot mess. I'm not going to lie. The first year was second grade. And we actually switched curriculums quite a few times. Second grade's been a lot smoother, although I did switch a couple curriculum subjects from the previous year. And I switched a couple things. And then I wouldn't say I'm a seasoned homeschooler, but I've already started purchasing curriculum for fourth grade, which is next year. And I already knew off the bat, like, exactly what math I was going to use. I already know which language arts I'm going to use. And I kind of did some research on some other subjects. But in the next video, I will go over more of like what we use for our curriculum. So, the moral of the story is that if public school is just not working out, give homeschooling a try. I mean, why not? The worst that can happen is it doesn't work out for you and you send your kid back. But you never know if it's going to work unless you try. And I think that was the biggest takeaway when I was, going through this journey was, I know that I don't know much about homeschooling, but I'll never know unless I try. So I gave it a shot, and I can tell you that without a doubt, homeschooling is the best decision that we ever made as a family, ever made. It is by far the best thing that we ever did. And I'm so excited that we decided to choose to homeschool. And I hope that my videos can help another mom who's either on the fence, a public school mom who's maybe not quite happy with public school and is maybe looking into another option. And I hope that with this video that you will be able to make that decision and make a decision that's right for your family. Don't think about other people. Just make the decision that's right for your family. So again, if you enjoy my videos, go ahead and subscribe to them. And in the next video, I will go over what curriculum that we're using. So I hope everyone has a great day.